Now, loaded topic, last topic.
Uh-oh, here comes a surprise.
Sorry, I shouldn't say loaded. That means it's got a negative context.
Not always.
In pro wrestling.
Loaded baked potatoes, my friend, exist.
My God. I like my food pretty plain. I'm going to be boring if we get into a food conversation. In wrestling,
that's right.
There's an idea, and this is mostly because of Vince and because they've handled things poorly for many years, that you shouldn't handle serious issues in wrestling. You shouldn't handle sexism, you shouldn't handle racism, you shouldn't handle, discrepancies in people's wealth or social status or whatever. I want to ask your opinion, because I have one example from WWE and one example from AEW, and they're both awesome. Is wrestling right now handling pretty well the topic of mental health?
Yeah, I feel like they've addressed things and people becoming obsessive and compulsive and breaking down because of their either preconceived notions or their ego or whatever they're thinking, and it works. It's been working, and it also touches upon the mindset and the depravity needed to do some of these actions, losing friends, consequences. Absolutely.
Okay, big surprise to you when I said I had one example from AEW and one example from WWE. It may surprise you that I'm picking MJF from AEW.
Okay.
And I'm picking an interaction. I sent you this interaction like a week ago, so we're talking Twitter stuff from a week ago. Was an interaction between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley.
Yes.
And Bianca Belair posted after they had their confrontation, "I'm going through real life stuff right now, and you want to throw it all in my face, Rhea Ripley. You are childish. Io Sky slapped me so hard, and she knocked some of the tears off my jacket. I'd never disrespect you like that."
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley responded, "Got caught up all in my emotions, acting like you're the only one to ever have to go through real stuff. Emotions are..." I'm terrible at reading things out loud live. "Emotions being the reason I continuously lash out. Also, nobody cares about emotions when they're mine."
Yeah.
So here's this really cool, and it kind of leaves Io Sky out of the conversation for a second.
Which always happens, sadly, but...
Yeah, well, they're doing that in the storyline, but I'm saying,
I know they're intending to do it now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a...
But I'm also...
but it actually genuinely happens, too, all the time. So.
But I'm in this particular topic, I'm also kind of leaving Io out. They've done I think WWE fell ass backwards into this, because this interaction is strictly happening on Twitter. What's happening on TV is a lot simpler.
Yes.
There's this really cool thing right now where Rhea Ripley is in a place where she's
very vulnerable. Yeah.
She's vulnerable, but she's doubting herself. She's lost her title. She thinks she's been hard done by with the title, when really I think it was the tipping point of everything's kind of falling apart. She lost her guy, she lost her friends all turned on her. And we go back to the Damian Priest thing, and this is where everything's kind of interwoven. The last real true friend and support that she had was Damian Priest, and now he's gone on to SmackDown, who thought he was going to have a fresh start, and that's been capped off by Drew McIntyre or whatever. So she's heartbroken alone. She's the biggest star on Raw.
She said she's isolated. She absolutely she used those words too, which I really appreciated. Was that interview afterwards saying she's
oh my
isolated.
God, the interview that she did backstage was friggin' phenomenal. And she's down on herself, and she said, "I made a stupid mistake," but all the
I say cinematic.
Yes, all the loss, all the doubt, all the people that have backstabbed her, all the people that have targeted her, like Liv Morgan, Dom Mysterio, the rest of the Judgment Day, other people that have seen her as a target to chop down, all that. Now, on the other side of the coin, I want to give Bianca Belair credit, so I'm putting aside how cringy some of it has been, and I'm looking at the story they're trying to tell with them. Bianca Belair has seen a friend get injured, had another friend be by her side, and
then found out
fill the gap, and was the support whenever. And nobody has turned on her. She's got the heartbreak of seeing her friends hurting each other, and she feels bad that Jade was hurt, but now she's finding out how hurt Naomi's been all along emotionally, and that's tearing her up and whatever. And so what you have right now, and it's really cool, and unfortunately it's playing out way better on Twitter than it is on TV. I'll say that as a criticism. But what you have is Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley screaming at each other, but not at each other. Bianca Belair has her own pain. Rhea Ripley has her own pain. They didn't cause each other's pain, but they're screaming their pain at each other.
Exactly.
And I think for a wrestling story, that's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's
and
pretty
it's
fucking
working
awesome.
so
And it's
well.
and it's the two strongest women in the company showing the most vulnerability. And I this is me. I'm not a Bianca stan. We know this, but I'll give the credit where it's due, at least for what they're trying to do behind the scenes. The two Jade Cargill is on NXT. Leave not Jade Cargill. Jordan Grace is on NXT.
Yes.
Leave that aside. So two of, if not the two strongest women on the main roster are screaming their vulnerabilities at each other. And all you have to do is know each one of their individual stories. It's the Baron Zemo from Captain America Civil War.
Yes.
Something that was brought up by Adam Cleary several years ago on a Marvel review. The reason Civil War, where Civil War is the smaller stage to prove that they could do something like Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
They had so much story to tell in that movie. How did you get in all the angles? How did you get in all the interspersed drama? Because you didn't have to tell anything about the villain. Everything that made the villain was stuff you already knew. You didn't have to tell a story between Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, because everything that's going on with them individually is something you both know. You know why Bianca's hurting if you're following Bianca. You know why Rhea Ripley's hurting. And when they're screaming at each other, they're not screaming at each other in a sense of, oh, I'm stronger, I'm going to kick your butt, and I'm going to hit a Riptide, and I'm going to hit a KOD, and I'm going to take your belt, and fuck off EO. They are, like, they're doing the Roman Reigns, like, in the corner from everything that they've both individually experienced. They just happen to be doing it at each other.
Yeah, and which is making it so much...
It's rich, man.
Believable. It is very rich, and this mental health side of it, especially when it's so needed today to be discussed.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things I bring up is the way they're using social media brings a great conversation about social media, and that is the inability to escape. And a lot of people suffer from this nowadays, but they don't even realize it. Like, when I was getting bullied in middle school and people were making songs about me in the lunch wave and picking on me for being fat, when I got home, it stopped. I got away from it. But now
you can't.
Now that bullying follows you, it stalks you. Whether it's on Facebook,
it's not out there,
or
it's in
Snapchat, or a text message, exactly. And I've seen it firsthand with my daughter in drama in high school, and how vicious people can be, and especially having that sense of anonymity and hiding behind a screen, like you're not seeing the hurt in front of you. And it's even more emotionally damaging as well that people don't have the ability to see, like, hey, when I said something hurtful to you in kindergarten, I saw you cry, and I knew that wasn't a good feeling. I shouldn't say that again. But now we lack that because I'm making fun of you, and I can put LOL after it. So it's just a joke. It's okay.
And you can't
it's
see the
funny.
person crying.
It's just a joke, though. Everything's a joke until it's not. I can have my family shit on, but if I throw an apple, it's no longer a joke. You know, you gotta have lines in the sand somewhere, and for the inability for them, like, you figure, oh, once they get out of TV and they're not at WWE, it's away from them, but it's not, because the storyline in perpetuity forever continues. So I like the way they're using social media to kind of gnaw at each other and attack each other, but also state, like, hey, you're not addressing my feelings, and you haven't considered my feelings either. Like, they've all been shitty in a way that needs to be addressed equally.
Now, on the other side of the coin, because all this comes to a breaking point, right?
Yes.
Now,
as we saw on Raw, and Io not wanting to be forgotten about either is a great part of the story too, because she's had to resort to physical violence to get the attention of people. The only thing
with Io is I don't think Io can tell this part of the story the same way they have, because her group fell apart because she turned on somebody. So I don't think in this part of the conversation she can level up. At this point,
what she did to Bayley,
which is super unfortunate. But at this point, like, this thing that I'm trying to give them this immense credit for, because I saw it on Twitter. You ever see something on Twitter, and yes, it's fiction. Like, they're perpetuating the fiction through Twitter. But, like, you stop and take a minute, and, like, they've hit something deeper. And I actually paused, and I screenshot it, and I sent it to you, because I was like, we're going to talk about this at some point, right? The other part of that And the other part, it was just me watching TV, where I went, holy fuck, they just did something deeper. And I can't believe I'm saying this because Hangman fucking Page was involved. It wasn't him that was doing it, though, however.
No, but...
The match that he had with MJF at, what was the last pay-per-view?
Revolution,
yeah. The match that they had, right?
The one
and
we,
it was
we reviewed, yes.
Hangman, is this wishy-washy, much like Bianca Belair. I don't really care for Hangman, trying to put that aside for the purpose of the example I'm trying to make. MJF coming out here, I'm cock of the walk, I'm better than everybody, I'm going to play the game, you're too emotional, I'm going to win more titles, you're a failure, look at me with my fucking scarf, right?
Yeah.
And then near the end of the match, when everybody's cheering, and because Hangman had, like, the thing is you can identify with MJF as well, because Hangman has done some fucking horrible shit to his friends, to his opponents, to, like, he's crossed all kinds of lines and whatever. So when MJF, who has spent his entire feud, the entire match, the entire promo, the entire build-up, the entire everything, convincing everybody that he doesn't need them, he doesn't need the fans' support, he doesn't want the fans' support, he doesn't want their cheers, he doesn't care if they boo, he's better than them, and they know it. And the cheers reached a certain point, and he just broke, and he said, "Why the fuck is it you?"
Yeah.
And there's your moment of weakness. Entirely different from what we're talking about with Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley.
Yes. But still on that level of ego.
But that's 5 seconds within a match that was something just screamed off mic, right? But just that moment, just all the richness and the elements and whatever that go into that 5 seconds of screaming off mic would not have happened 5 years ago.
Oh no, it wouldn't have. And the way
wrestling in general would have told you not to touch something like that. Because if you ask that, then you're admitting everything you said was a lie, even though that's what a heel is supposed to do. You're admitting you're vulnerable, even though that's what a heel is supposed to reveal. Like, and I think just when I've talked over the years, when you saw, Triple H and Booker T, and people called it racist, and you had the Godfather, and the Godfather and his hose. Well, now we turn around and we say, hey man, like, hookers are workers too, like, maybe show them a bit of respect and whatnot.
Yeah, don't be such an ass.
Wrestling, no, but there's always been this thing, it goes back to that, like, dingy, smoky bingo hall mentality of outsiders and how they look at wrestling. Well, wrestling shouldn't tackle, this topic is too big for wrestling. And I just thought, of all the things to tackle, racism, sexism, financial trouble, like, back in the day when Shawn Michaels lost all his money and he had to work for JBL for a while, when JBL was making fun of Eddie Guerrero's mom's heart attack, and it was all fucking terrible shit. Of all the stuff that apparently we're not supposed to touch, wrestling on both sides, and like I say, I have to tip the hat to AEW as well.
Address this even,
like, of all the topics that we're not supposed to touch, for both of the two biggest companies in the world right now to be tackling something as deep and as layered and as perpetually treacherous as mental health is fucking phenomenal.
Absolutely. I give them a ton of credit for it, and they don't get that kind of praise often, but yeah, they absolutely deserve it here.
Anyways, I've been sitting on this part of the conversation for like a week, and I couldn't wait till we had a pod where we weren't talking about
my therapist
pay-per-view.
said I could live stream my sessions if I want. I always said that would be a fun idea, But I've been in therapy for a long time, and I always, truly gloat about the wonderful things that it does for you, and how your mind is as much of a thing you need to care for as the rest of your body. When you're sick, you go to the doctor, but when people are mentally unwell, they tend not to talk about it. So I've always been an advocate of, like, hey, say something. People are here to listen to you. We care. And there's more to it than just what you think. So it's good to have that reinforced.
I'll steal a line from KJ over at the Wrestling for Life Network. If you're listening to us right now, the world's a better place with you in it.
Absolutely.
Anyways, and that's about our time for this week.